Alright, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start the recording while I fish out dice. Dear audience, I hope you like the sound of dice. Okay, I think all my dice look like they're at the top today. So everybody get out dice. We're going to do session 11? I think this is 11. 10's the last one I remember making, so I'm pretty sure it's 11. Alright, solid. I have half my percentile dice, and I think all my damage dice.
Okay, Wall Street Journal, I wanted to read your fucking article, but I didn't want to fucking sign in or subscribe to do it, so guess what? I ain't reading the fucking article.
Hi, welcome to internet stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I have that problem sometimes doing research. Luckily, Google Earth is great, and we'll see some more of that in a second, and I think that'll probably be the background image for this episode, at least this one, so hopefully the audience can see it. BT Dubs, hi audience. We're brought to you by patrons, like Havoc, Qua, Kai Dead, and Jeremy Vasquez, and Esper Flores, all you fun guys who give us lots of money, and lots of other people who give us money. Thank you. Hooray. Okay. As usual, I have one lingering D10 left. Where are you, buddy? There it is. Okay. And I'll just leave the bag. Okay. Well, first put your other fucking dice back in the bag, you dumb fucking idiot. We're after 30 seconds, we can swear. It's okay, YouTube. But alright, okay. I see we're all super enthusiastic to be here.
Yeah!
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Let's bring some of that energy.
I woke up like an hour ago, maybe 2.
Sure. Also, yes, this will totally date this, but everybody can tell when we recorded this because I'm presuming anybody who actually listens to these probably watches Let's Talk FGO on WhatsApp, because this is the smallest slice of our audience right now, right here. Hi, we appreciate you. But
We do.
there's still a little bit of audio interference on Lucky.
God, why?
I literally haven't restarted
what are
my
you doing?
computer.
Oh.
Like, this machine has been on rendering videos since Friday. It has not stopped. So yeah, we're still working this out. If it's a thing, I still have to manually find my sound card, control panel and whatnot. But hey, hi, we're here. We're doing it. We're doing the thing. I guess I could use one more D. I'm technically missing a D10 for damage die, but I don't think it matters. I think 6 is enough.
I hope.
Have I ever needed to roll more than 6 D10s?
Did Marth have to roll more than 60 pins? We had to do some critical fucking damage?
Yeah, it's his own fault.
Shadow rounds.
Motherfucking shadow rounds.
Also, his ridiculous numbers of degrees of success. Alrighty. If we're talking updates and stuff, the Eternal Beta, I added a fuck ton of gear and stuff because Lucky got me talking about gear, so there's gear and stuff. Y'all will probably want to familiarize yourself with that. I think the only pressing thing is
Plus, I
was
noticed the changes to previous gear.
Yes, I was about to bring that up. I think that's the only thing that's relevant is that I was looking at it and I'm like, it doesn't really make sense. So for the gas mask, it technically now gives you a -10 to awareness tests only. So that means you would still have +10 on awareness and +20 on all your other pro tests. If you still want to switch that to a different item, like your flying goggles that you already own, you can do that for free because I kind of sprung that on you that it alters stuff, but I figured it made sense because it really limits your field of vision.
Yeah.
And how the fuck do you smell through a gas mask? I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't even... Yeah, I wouldn't even know how that would work. Yeah, I'll probably switch over to the field goggles.
Oh god, you added Willie Pete's.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Because, we were doing that smoke grenade research, so I decided to just split the difference and say that under optimal conditions, a smoke grenade lasts about a minute. If it's windy, rainy, or humid, which, by the way, might come up because we have a random weather and other conditions generator, it can only last a few rounds. But, so that applies retroactively to everything with the smoke quality. But, we learned that white phosphorus grenades were a thing back then for purposes of signaling, but also they set shit on fire.
Yep.
And I actually found a manual reference to the M15 smoke grenade, which is the white phosphorus one. Which said that it had a radius of 10 meters, so be careful you're using allies. So it's a Blast 10 weapon. It does the same damage profile as a flamethrower.
Oh, God.
So it's 1d10 plus 6, pen 6. So it's got more pen than a frag grenade, but technically the damage is more consistent but lower, but it has a fuck ton of tags. It's got a huge blast radius. It's got flame. I think it's got anti-material, so it does damage to vehicles and shit. It's blast, obviously, so you can double that damage if you, put it in somebody's pocket. It's got flame. It's got cauterize. It really sucks. Just be careful where you throw them, okay?
No.
And it also has the smoke quality, so technically you can use it to create a giant 10 meter cloud of white smoke. It's big. They're big. That's the thing I learned about Willie Pete researching is they got a big fucking radius. So there you go. That's for you. I don't think there's any other real weapon. There's a couple of weapon mods. Excuse me. One of which you don't care about, Lucky, because you already have a defensive weapon.
Yeah.
But the other is the pommel cap, which let me double check my wording on that. But I stole a word from Star Wars. But basically, my document is still loading. We're somewhere in the hundreds now, so we're only up. There we go. Okay, it loaded far enough. Reinforced or weighted pommel goes to the end of a melee weapon like a sword or knife. Makes it easier to make a pommel strike. Basically, if you make a subdue attack, you can add the stun tag. Only works if your weapon doesn't already have the stun tag, and is a one-handed melee weapon. So, if you want to be subduing people by just hitting them with your sword, you might invest in that. Also, did lots of research into things that were invented. Hey, did you know that the Maxim brand silencer, which is why we call them silencers, was invented in 1909?
Oh.
So silencers are in the game now. There is still subsonic ammunition, now that they... So the way I split the difference is, if you equip a suppressor, also aka a silencer, because that's what they would be called at this time, your damage in your max range goes down by a significant amount. It's -2 damage and -25% range. But you get the suppressed tag, so it's harder to locate you. But because it's an adjustment to the muzzle, you can't use bayonets or rifle grenades with a suppressor. Duh. In case you thought you could. And you also get the overheat tag, because that's how it works. It traps hot gases. And this is like Metal Gear Solid, so they degrade. So anytime you would misfire or damage your weapon, your silencer is destroyed instead. So that means you lose $5 every time that happens. I think this hopefully encapsulates the appropriate amount of resiliency of this tech. If you want consistent suppression, use a longbow or buy a custom built weapon where the suppressor is built into the rifle barrel the whole way. Speaking of which did you actually pick for that, Lucky? Did you choose to add the commando stuff to your kit?
I did, but I don't. It's in my kit, but I don't
But which did you pick? Did you take the suppressed pistol or the commando rifle?
Suppressed pistol.
Okay.
I don't carry. I just carry my standard pistol, which I got from officer.
Is that a pistol or a heavy pistol?
Pistol.
Okay. So you have your Luger.
Yep.
I think that's the only thing really going on with weapon mods recently. There's a couple of the melee ones and the suppressor thing. And I changed suppressed ammo to subsonic ammo. It gives you a -2 to penetration. And also, I think it might reduce your range a little bit, but it gives you a -10 penalty to be located, similar to the flash hider, which stacks with suppressed. So if you use subsonic ammo in a suppressed weapon, you're really fucking sneaky. It's very hard to find you. Because most NPCs have 30 to 40, because that's about the average of a starting PC. So that's a -30 total to locate the shooter on awareness. So, like I said, most people can't even fucking try. They, have a 0% chance. And then I added, like I said, a lot of gear, depending on what you might want. Do you want a bottle of chloroform? You can do that. Actually, this is important, because I mentioned this in chat, but I'll mention it for the audience, too. Everybody gets a battle dressing that's in your standard kit.
Oh, yeah.
It's in your standard kit now. It's like your survival ration. Everybody gets one. And the way that works is, as a half action, you slap the battle dressing on you, you automatically stop 10 bleed. It's so you don't die. And this is actually the era where they started doing that. So, in your standard, your standard soldier's ruck, you've got, like I said, you've got your mess kit, you've got your grooming kit, you've got your ration bar or ration tin, and you've got a little tin or pouch which says, battle dressing, use 1. You pop that open, you slap it on, you're fine. So that adds to earplugs. This will be very relevant for the mission we're about to undertake, maybe, but you might also be interested in the Field Combat Manual. The basic training manual for soldiers. It basically is your how-to soldier book. It'll include descriptions of like all your weapons and gear and how to operate them and their parameters. It'll also cover basic stuff like how to do basic hand-to-hand, first aid, basic mechanics and maintenance. So once per session, if you have a manual, you may roll one of the following skills as if you were trained. Camouflage, demolitions, interrogation, mechanics, medication, security, survival, tactics. Once per session because it's a For Dummies book, so you can only benefit from it so much.
Yeah.
Also, if you have time to study your FCM for 1 hour, you gain a +10 on your next attack roll, in case you nerds needed that. They cost 2 MC and are plentiful, so I assume you will acquire one immediately. We were actually talking about it, so I figured out that respirators were a thing, so they exist. They're different from your diving set because they're not electrical, they're purely chemical. They're not good for high pressure, so you can't... So subunits still have a reason to exist. But they're good for shallow water diving and for mine rescue, because we may do underwater or underground attacks. They can be used at high altitudes, but this is actually a historical fact. They don't react well to extreme cold, so it's a very limited effect. Not that any of you can get super high right now, but also, actually, I don't know if that's a rule. I might have put cannabis. I probably put cannabis in the herbs, so you can totally get super high if you wanted.
You went there.
Hey, I made the joke. I covered most like naturally occurring narcotics, so like you can find opium if you want and other stuff in there. Get some laudanum.
I am the power stall empire. Most I do is smoke cigars. At most. That's only in social situation.
But yeah, so the rebreather is more expensive and it's about as rare, but it's less heavy and it technically lasts longer per oxygen scrubber because it's 3 hours before you need to replace or a CO2 scrubber. Mm-hmm. So it's 3 hours before you need to replace it. While you're wearing it, you're completely immune to airborne disease, toxins, and chemicals if you turn it on recycled air because you're literally not breathing the outside air. But like I said, it's not good for high pressure and it's not good for high altitude because it gets cold. But if you ever need to go for a fucking swim and stay underwater, it's great. Anything else I added?
I think we're actually we're 1914, right?
Yes.
If I remember correctly, the first actual chemical attack in World War I was done by German in Belgium in 1915. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, something like that. You guys have already developed the weapons, you just haven't used them yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not quite at where chlorine attacks are used, but you guys know that the weapons exist.
Yeah.
Which is why you carry gas grenades. Also, they're very useful if, I don't know, a Chimera breathes a poison fire on you.
Oh no.
Also, speaking of, it's almost like I'm planning there to be some sort of aquatic component, huh? But swim fins are in now. So you can double your speed while swimming and get +10 on athletics to swim, but if you're wearing swim fins on land, you half your base movement. Proper Scotch tape isn't invented until, like, I think the 30s or 40s or even later. Like, adhesive tape has been a thing for a long time, but it's surgical tape, so you can buy rolls of surgical tape now, though. Technically, we could probably stretch the setting and let you have Band-Aids, because the adhesive bandage was invented in, like, 1921, but I don't think that'll actually do anything mechanically. It's a Band-Aid. The battle dressing, I think, is enough. But if you need your classic duct tape, Lucky, you can buy a roll of surgical tape. It's good for 50 uses.
Sometimes you need some fucking tape.
Yeah, it primarily gives you a +5 on certain medication tests, but you can also use it on some craft mechanics and demolitions tests because it's adhesive tape. And like I said, as far as I can tell, it's basically the only common form of adhesive tape that exists. So, hey, guess what? If you ever need to fucking tape something, you're stealing surgical tape.
That's what we do.
So I think that's all the weapon stuff, other than obviously in mage equipment, we already talked about that. I added the Ethereum torch. Which, is pretty good. If you need it to cut something, you make a mechanics test and you deal 10 plus DOS structural integrity damage per round. With a piercing of 15.
Oh, by the way, Omega, you might be interested to know this. Because I've been in Modern Warfare and I'm inspired, I got through the mission where you put on the ghillie suit, and I looked it up. The ghillie suit was invented in 1902, first used by the British Scouts. Yeah, I've
tried to figure out a good way to handle that. Like you can get camouflage in an armor customization, and technically you can apply camo netting to a person. I might fluff of that better in camo netting that, like, you can turn it into a suit you can wear, kind of thing. Because I've known that ghillie suits have existed for a while. It's just trying to figure out a good place to, like, tuck that in as an item that's not crossing over other stuff. Where is my camouflage netting?
Ever since we did last session, I'm like, man, I could really use some stuff. I've been slowly putting together like a shopping list. I just don't know how much of it I want to straight out buy.
Well, we'll cover that because we're once again. I said there's going to be some supply concerns with this mission. Let me actually pull that up. So, are we ready to go ahead and start?
Marth, you there, buddy?
Yeah.
Making sure.
I'm pretty sure Marth was just quietly cataloging all the changes I made.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I actually got that done about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, you're a quiet boy, Marth. We just gotta make sure sometimes. Let's see here. Engine grease, flare gun, flares, a smoke grenade, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to carry 5 smoke grenades. I think I just need 1.
By the way, also smoke grenades in the description notes that they can come in colors. The default is black, but you can also pick red, purple, green, yellow.
Probably, maybe I'll get 2 and I'll get different color each. Green
the
forward.
Colors don't mean anything unless you tell your forces they mean something.
Mm-hmm.
See what flares really. All right. So let's go ahead and dive right in, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. So it's 0800 the next day. Y'all are still tired. Cause it's literally 8 hours since your mission. It's after morning mess. And fatigue's not just no sleep, but also muscle fatigue, right? You guys were crouching and moving through rough terrain and carrying heavy shit and stuff. So you were swinging away, chopping down long grasses. So your arms are probably a little bit tired and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's that fatigue set in. But it's 0800. It's after morning mess. And the captain is, excuse me, summoned on down to the briefing room. So, I assume, of course, you show up.
Sorry, you cut out there, Omega. What was that?
Oh, I said you are summoned, you, the captain, are summoned to the briefing room.
I will make way to the briefing room after I chug another cup of coffee.
All right. Are you actually chugging coffee? Because remember, that's the thing.
Hmm?
Can you spell caffeine again? There's an I in there, isn't there?
Remember, actually, does coffee actually remove the effects of fatigue?
It does something with fatigue, yeah. I'm trying to find it in my document. There you go. Caffeine. Found a coffee. Tea promotes awareness. You don't recover from the effects of fatigue, but you ignore them for a number of hours equal to toughness mod. And you get a +10 on toughness test to avoid falling unconscious, and you get a +10 to per tests for this duration. Because you're awake.
Yep. I'm currently ignoring it. I look tired, but I don't feel tired. Thank God for coffee.
Which is good, because you might actually, depending on how you want to time out your response to this mission briefing, you might actually need to make rolls right away.
God damn it.
So, you were summoned. You and your senior officers are also pulled. You can decide if that means senior NCOs too, and you can bring Ulrich along, or just your officer corps.
I will. Ulrich, let's roll. EXO, Ulrich, Gorman.
Okay.
Gorman's sure, why not?
Gorman's probably one of your senior NCOs.
Yep.
All right, so the gang's all here. All your, like I said, all your platoon leaders, probably their adjutants or warrant officers or whatever, and any officers you have in any positions lying around. So you're all summoned. Excuse me. The major is here. Her XO is here. There's your giant table. But also, today we have a projector set up, because projectors have been around for a while. Currently it's showing a blank slide, but she summons, says hi to everybody, everybody sits or stands. Captain, you can probably sit, if you feel like it.
I will sit.
Okay, in your chair. Everybody's got cups of coffee. There's some maps and stuff planned out, the big tactical maps. There's little tin figurines of army men scooched into places, that kind of setup. And so the major kind of runs through the briefing. So she, points at her XO who is manning the projector and says, "Next slide, first slide," ka-chunk, slaps over. On the screen, projected, you see a very grainy photo, because obviously you have no idea what the fuck resolution camera this was taken on. It's a very grainy photo of something that looks like a boat covered with a camouflage tarp.
Oh, great.
Yeah. It's sitting at a dock on a river, you want to guess, and there's trees behind it, and it's shaped like a boat, but you can't get any details. So, the major starts. And obviously if I cut out and you need me to repeat details, let me know.
Alright.
So she says that High Command has been sending intelligence assets into the area to study the enemy, as we're looking forward to. We believe that they are preparing to mount a New Year offensive. As soon as the New Year rolls in, they're preparing to roll soldiers into a counterattack to take back the territory they lost and press in on East Alkebulan. To this end, obviously, we've had men on the ground doing reconnaissance and intelligence gathering. This is what our agent inland reports further up the river. You guys would know the river. This is actually the Orange River. And this is the river you flew over to invade that village that one time. Because that is the southern border of your territory. It's a natural border. And it runs all the way into Britannian Cape Land. So it's a big old river that's very real. The people on the ground have reported this to us. It appears that the Britannians have developed a new form of motorized landing craft. Next slide. You see a very sketchy schematic of what looks like a boat. So, the Major basically explains in brief, I won't roleplay her through all this, but she explains that it's long been known that landing infantry is kind of hard in this war. It's been experimented with using just men and rowboats, but they're very vulnerable to artillery and machine gun fire. Very vulnerable to mages also. And so, mages won't stand for it. You guys have basically been like, no, you're not sticking me in a fucking rowboat. I'm gonna die. So it is known that armies are developing. This appears to be a rough prototype of a armored landing vessel. It's motorized. It's got a couple of water jet engines run by diesel in the back. You know, she's got a long extending pointer and kind of taps various areas. There's a big section in the center, and it has a armored loading ramp which drops down. So you just beach it, drop the ramp, and you can let off infantry. Very orderly. According to our intelligence reports, these boats can hold up to 150 men. That's right, each boat holds a company's worth of men. This should be very distressing to you because, as you know, you alone are a single company worth of mages. So, one boat holds all of you. So she's going through the description. You know, they have a minimum number of crew. They have a light machine gun turret for defense, but mostly they're just armor. Obviously, they're open-topped, so they would be vulnerable to bombardment, but that's why they have machine guns, and possibly would have air cover. So obviously, this is slightly distressing as we move into the next slide. So I'll repost this, but this is the third slide is the map I posted for you guys earlier, thanks to the power of Google Maps, Google Earth specifically. Thanks, guys. Yeah, unfortunately, I think I cropped the scale out of this, but it's uploading now. Okay. All right, so she says to you, this is unfortunate to us because, as you can see from this, basically this is like a kind of rough sketch combined with some old aerial photos. You'll note there are marking of 2 sets of targets of 4, which means that we believe the Commonwealth forces have amassed 8 of these landing craft boats upriver from us. This would be very unfortunate because this means that they could sail 8 companies worth of men right into the middle of our lines and deploy them quickly. Also, they might be able to fit vehicles in here, artillery pieces, and move them quickly up the river. This is not good. If they employ all these boats, or even possibly more, in their New Year's offensive, we will be facing a large amount of men in a short order, possibly dividing our forces. Because, as you guys know, you guys have extended past the river, so this is a very unfortunate situation. If our opposing forces can bring these to bear, they will be able to rapidly match and possibly outnumber, since all it takes for them to use a boat again is to just pull the ramp up, back up, and go back down river to load up with more troops. So you're looking at what sounds like a very rapid infantry invasion by boat, which is not great. Because like we said, mages are good, but can you fight 8 times your strength in men good?
Probably not.
No, that's bad. And like we said, they can fit vehicles, they could fit scout cars, artillery pieces in here, So this leads us to your mission. This has been codenamed Operation Blauer Geist, aka Blue Ghost, but I thought Blauer Geist sounded cooler. Your mission orders are simple. As currently, we have sent the major land detachment out to address the earlier problem and finish scouting that location. They are not available, but we are recalling your units from recon. This is somewhat within enemy territory. It's obviously upriver from us, but it's well within their territory. It will not be possible to advance via land. So this is where your unit comes in. The squadron is to arrive on target through a means that is somewhat up to your discretion. I believe that the High Command intends for you to either fly directly over land or paradrop in close and approach on foot. But your mission is to sink or disable these 8 boats, and thus severely delay their plans enough for us to mount countermeasures and fortify the riverside, or outright scrub it because they will not be able to replace these vehicles. That is your primary objective. Your secondary is to, as kind of a third point, is to fall back to a rally point back at the fortress, which has been captured and repurposed to work as a forward operating base. You are to do this to ensure that you are not pursued and to offer rest and recuperation after what will probably be a tense mission. So, Objective 1, disable or destroy 8 boats. Objective 2, rally back on the fort to make sure that you're clear of pursuit and, to do a full inventory and requisition. The third objective, which has been suggested by High Command as an optional, encouraged but not necessary, is to act with maximal force. Unfortunately, this presents its a problem. She points at the map. So, as you can see, there are roads. Those fields in these photos are not fields. Those are vineyards, which are operated by the locals. There's also quite a decent amount of trade which goes up and down this river, farming in the nearby area, and fishing in the river. While the Commonwealth has mounted several checkpoints, which you can see are mounted on the map to ensure that unauthorized personnel do not get too close to their boats or fortifications, there are still a high density of civilians in the near area, thus it is not morally excusable to us to engage in, say, a saturation bombardment. We know that the Britannians are engaging in propaganda efforts. We would likely face possible civilian uprisings here if we were to engage in any activities which could be seen as unpleasant. So that's your 3 objectives. You have to sabotage the boats. You want to rally back, and High Command wants you to shock and awe, but that presents a problem because there's a high saturation of civilians in the immediate area. So, the Major would basically run you through the map, and kind of explain it. As pointed out by that first photo, the boats are camouflaged during the day when they're not being worked on, so they're very hard to see from the air. You're likely going to have to get up close and personal to clearly identify the targets and not risk a miss, which is also why a bombing run is bad. You'll notice there are, the first set is lined up on the south shore, the next set is lined up on the north shore. The X's, which are checkpoints, are manned checkpoints. They either use barricades or vehicles to block the road, and there are a couple of soldiers armed, probably with something like an SMG or a trench carbine, something, close quarters, easy to use to make sure that unauthorized locals don't pass by and possibly interfere. So approaching by the roads is hard. You will also see the boxes marked watchtowers. Those are pretty simple wooden watchtowers. They're a couple stories tall. They have 1 or 2 men in them. They have spotlights which are on pintle mounts so they can point up at the sky or down at the ground. And those guys are probably armed with long-range weapons. They might have rifles with scopes. They may or may not have a guy with a light machine gun up there, but mostly just long-range engagement. The P's you see marked there are pillboxes. Those are actual concrete or cement bunkers, which are fortified with machine guns in them, general-purpose machine guns. They don't have a huge angle of fire, but they are able to fire at water level, basically, if somebody's in the river, or fire up in the case of aerial units in their kind of cone of vision. The B areas are, there probably should be some line string path, but those are patrolling boats. Those are basically flat bottom, like pontoon boats holding, a squad of 4 or 5 guys in there. They're powered by small outboard motors or rowing, and they just have a small couple of guys with, like, flashlights and rifles. They patrol at night and at certain times of day to make sure nobody's, like, swimming up on them or anything. But they're not really serious contenders. Got all that?
Mm-hmm.
You see an army camp up at the top there. That's surrounded by makeshift barricades and barbed wire. That's mostly just tents and some prefab buildings. It's basically a staging area. It's mostly used for the men who man the checkpoints or the watchtowers when they're off duty, so they're not too far. It also appears to be holding ammunition and fuel supplies as they slowly build up these boats. The brown squares I have drawn on the map are docks, some of which have been added. They're either some of them are detached, they're like floating docks or pontoons. These are for docking like the patrol boats or the landing boats. Some of them have like sandbags on them, or and a guy who might sit back there behind them. But mostly they're just open cover and they're out there so that they can dock ships. The little black lines with like the 2 lines on them that are drawn over certain connections, those are, for lack of a better term, temporary water fences. They're like lines of like accordion wire with flotation devices which are strung over the top of the water, so that people in boats cannot easily cross them, but they don't go under the water.
Was that last that you said?
Yes, the black lines with little dashes on the riverside, those are water fences. So they're metal wire and flotation devices which blocks the surface of the river from being crossed by boats without seriously, tangling up your oars or your motor or something. They don't extend under the water. So, do you have any questions about the map?
Yeah, so I'm trying to, you said you just cut out the scale, about how big is the stretch of map? Is it a couple miles?
Yeah, let me see if I can double check the eyeball on this, because I realized that I accidentally cut out the scale to, cut out the Google Earth and all that, the details on the map, because obviously I took a modern map segment and I sepia-toned it.
Mm-hmm.
So I will double check the scale, to see kind of how big this square is. I'd also itch my nose a lot because for some reason my nose is super itchy. My Google Earth is loading. Any other questions?
Do they have metrics data on the river at state this time of year, at depth, and how it's traffic, how many boats and whatnot?
As you can see from the patrols and the water fencing, and the checkpoints, the military is trying to cut down on the amount of civilian traffic, but occasionally they have to let shipping through. This is an area where people frequently pass by, but
all right,
they are not necessarily allowing civilians to pass through a lot.
So, second, another thing, I probably missed it in your explanation, but what are the black dots with the red B on them that are on the river?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you did miss that. Those are patrol boats. Theoretically, they should probably have some pathing in there, but that's just a flat bottom or pontoon boat with 4 or 5 guys on it with rifles as kind of a patrol to scooch along.
Okay.
Let me see. Okay.
We have any information on how many guys are basically patrolling at any time?
The intelligence has reported that there are only a couple of those boats, and they have 4 or 5 guys on them.
Okay.
There are occasionally guys on those whatchamacallits, on the segment. So on the dockside. All right. So I've got the scale.
And so they work on these boats during the day, mostly? And
yeah, they're prepping the boats, they're fueling them up, they're oiling, they're making everything works because they're prototypes, obviously. And
all right, and during the night, I guess like their watch or something, right? When they're camo.
they have the watchtowers have floodlights. They camouflage them with tarps as often as they can.
Okay.
And they have guys, and like that camp is basically so that they can have a place where the guys running shifts of watch can rest, and so they have probably a company's worth of dudes on their own, upwards of 100 guys hanging around at any given time. Let's see. Okay, let's see if I can get a good translation of the scale here. So I think at that, Google Earth, I really wish you'd be more expressive to me. Like, I'm looking at the scale, but it doesn't tell me what it is. It's it has the notches, but I'm like, I don't know, that's an inch, I guess, but is that, 5 inches is 1,300 feet? But how many inches is my fucking monitor screen? How do I maps? So I've got a scale legend, but it's I don't know, how much is a mile? 5,000 feet?
Yeah. Well,
so that would probably mean that this map is what's a kilometer to a mile?
A mile?
Hold on, I'm doing this. So a mile is a little over half a click. So this is probably like a kilometer on a side. So it's probably it's not square, obviously, but it would be about a click area.
Mm-hmm.
And note that because this is in-game, this is a crude drawing. This is not necessarily to scale. This was made both by me and by the intelligence asset who gave it to you with visibility in mind.
Ponder over this information. Since the tertiary objective is shock and awe, I don't know, I might have to throw that one out the window.
Yeah, that's not gonna, like I said, that's not gonna get you court-martialed or anything. It's just that is what the high command wants. Is they want an impressive destructive display so that the enemy will completely abandon this foolish plan. But like I said, all those fields, those are vineyards. Those are civilian roads running there. There are people who would be on the shore before those checkpoints, possibly fishing. There's occasionally fishing or transport boats that come, up and down this river.
I mean, we could equip major bomb racks and drop bombs on individual boats, but that's kind of a
So there's I'll kind of wrap up the intel stuff. So basically, you've got 3 days to plan this, and then your deployment time will put you on site in the nominal morning. So, but once you're on site, you could theoretically, there's no time limit on this, you could theoretically wait around until it's dark if you wanted. Mm-hmm. Once you're on site, as it were. Mm-hmm. For default equipment, you will be supplied for free. You can either load up your guys with bomb racks or with satchel charges, without needing to roll anything. That's your default mission equipment because they want you to succeed on the mission. If you want to go more specialized than that, that could possibly be logistic rolls, and if it fucks up, you might have to fall back on the bomb plan or the satchel plan. The thing with bombs is, obviously, because they're camouflaged a lot of the time, that's going to be a very hard target to hit, and while they're open-topped, so that's a pretty easy way to attack them, that's your maximum risk of scatter. And that's, if you accidentally scatter, that's going to end up in the British papers. The dastardly Huns bomb civilian vineyards because they're salty Jims, which you personally don't want, and the Major does not want, but is not technically in your mission orders. Also, yes, technically there are machine gun nests and stuff here who would be shooting at you while you do that. Though obviously, as you can see from the terrain, despite the fact that this is not that far away from you, really. I calculated this. The distance from this position to you in the capital right now is about 800 kilometers.
Oh.
So this river valley is obviously very fertile and moist, so there's lots of fucking trees. There's natural trees on that north bank there, and there's on the south bank a little bit too, and there's all these fucking vineyards full of, rows of grapevines and shit. So, ground cover is great. Oh, and the weather prediction for the day of the mission is cloudy. So basically, yeah, you have 3 days to prepare. Obviously, you can use some of that if you want to, roll ritual magic, but the Major is leaving the discretion of how this is entirely up to you. There's a lot of different ways you can tackle this landing boat problem. So basically, I leave it to you. You can brainstorm with your compatriot there and figure out what you want to do, and I will answer questions.
Let's see here. Let me check sector charges here real quick. I gotta look at the mechanics and see.
Speaking of mechanics, these are actually I did some work adding some vehicle stuff. So these are actually a vehicle stat you can find in the book now. It is a landing craft. These are a little anachronistic. Technically, they didn't fully figure out motorized landing craft until the very end of the war, but it makes sense. Like I said, mages are not going to be stuck in rowboats, being sponges for bullets for very long.
Yeah.
So the number you're looking to beat on a motor landing craft is they have a hull integrity of 30. And remember, since this doesn't come up a lot, normally vehicles take half damage and half penetration from infantry weapons. There are certain exceptions to that. For instance, it's funny, because you're a saber and all your bladed weapons have sunder now, your damage is still halved, but your penetration is not. And these things have an armor of 6 on the bottom, so technically, I think you can punch holes in the bottom of the boat with your sword.
That's, I feel like that would take a minute.
That would take a long time. You've got 8 boats, they're 30 health each. For armor, they're most armored on the front and sides, and back, they have no armor on the top and very thin armor because they have very thin bottoms. Ideally, if you wanted to do this, you could try and buy some sea mines and, like, stick them to the bottom, but those are, proximity or contact, so that's not a very stealthy way to do this. So, satchel charges.
Can we connect multiple satchel charges to the same cord?
Yeah, you can bundle them together. You can do some fun stuff with demo. They can be shaped. They can be bundled up. You can pull them out of the sack. You can stack sacks together.
Can they work underwater?
They are waterproof and they are detonated by a wire. So yes.
Okay.
Technically, they can also be wirelessly detonated too, if you want to get real fancy.
Let's not get real fancy.
So, and the important thing to note is the anti-material. They have the anti-material tag, which means they do full damage to vehicles. They have blast, so they do double damage to a vehicle they're directly touching. So if you drop one in the bottom of the boat, that's double damage.
I think that's probably our best bet.
Yeah. You could, if you wanted, go for something fancy, like you could try and get thermite bombs, which do a lot more damage.
Yeah, but
then you're rolling. You're trying to acquire specialty shit.
Yeah. Let's see here. Right now, Marth, how do you feel about doing an underwater mission? Even though we're a fucking Air Corps. Marth? If you're trying to talk, I can't hear you.
Marth, you talking?
I can't hear him.
I don't see his thing lighting up, so I don't know. Is he
Maybe-
break something?
maybe-
Did he turn off something? Did he
Maybe
go
not.
away while we were doing a long conversation? I don't know. Marth, if you can
Maybe.
hear us.
But let's see here. So my knee-jerk reaction is maybe an underwater mission. Like, I don't know what let's see, south of the river, but as I said, like with the water.
Well, here's the thing. This is about 100 clicks from the fortress you're supposed to rally back on.
Mm-hmm.
So you could obviously set up there, and you could very easily swim. In reality, there's a waterfall between this location and Namibia, but that wouldn't make much sense for motor launches, so you don't have to worry about that. But yes, this river is deep enough for people to fish in and uses like a major water, so you can definitely swim in it.
So if we swim it, we can probably get close to the boats, surface enough to identify, place satchel charges, connect 4 at a time, because I'm pretty sure targets A and B are not within 30 meters of each other, but I think they are all within 30 meters of each other. Like,
yeah, they'd be within range. You could put them on a single timer. You'd probably want to go wireless for that, but basically just tune into the same frequency.
Get them all, and then blow them, and try to make her escape.
Oh, that is another thing I want to point out about the setup. Obviously, in addition to you could literally just steal one of these boats. There are also, like I said, there are those flat-topped, pontoon boats, and it's a river. So if you need a way to escape quickly, you can just steal a boat.
Yeah. So we will probably have to go, like, doing that, if we basically start, let's see here. Is the area above, target B, like, wood?
Yeah, that's woods. That's forest.
It's woods and forests. If we start a little bit off screen, make our way inland.
Yeah, there are some they're not super high, but there are some rolling hills which are covered in more vineyards and forests to the north of this, which was kind of where they figure you'd land. You know, they're gonna... You invented the paradrop, so they're gonna paradrop you somewhere. If you wanted to, like, hike overland, you could dodge some patrols.
We'll get to the river, equip our whatever aquatic gear we manage to scrounge up. Let's see, we have rebreathers, right?
Yeah, rebreathers are a thing. They're really expensive and they're hard to find, but you could try and make a roll to equip your entire unit.
Here's the thing, like, if we do this underwater approach, I won't need a fuck ton of men. I'll need maybe 2 squads of 4?
Alright, you want to go that minimal, yeah?
Let's see. Here. Oh, actually, if they want to do shock and awe, I could do, like, for sure, with the IR rifle, do a flyby of the compound, do a bombing run on that. That's away from the vineyards and the civilians in the river.
Yeah, that's technically an area. That's why they set up there, so they're out of everybody's way.
So we do a flyby. If I send like actually, I could probably just send the whole rifle for whoever doesn't come with me. Send the whole air rifle. They can do a bombing run on that. One pass and get the fuck out. That will definitely sow some discord among the ranks while we take out targets A and B and try to make her escape. Yeah.
Oh, hey, Marth's there. He exists.
There's Marth. There he is. What's up, buddy?
Well, I pinged him because we didn't get him earlier.
Okay. Let's see here.
Also, technically, I don't know if you quote unquote need rebreathers. You can hold your breath for a number of rounds equal to toughness mod normally.
Yeah, but that means we still have to like pop up and down.
True.
For air.
Yeah, and also those.
If you're not doing anything stressful, you could hold it for minutes equal to 10, but yeah.
Let's see here. But we said we got 3 days, huh?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to send out some of my scouts and the sneaky ones. I want to get them on location to see if we can get some more intel.
Okay.
I'll send out Sneaky Boy and be like, do not engage, just look and see if we can just see. Because more intel is always good.
Alright, are you telling them to look for anything in particular, or this is just, I want my own intel? I'm too good for High Command's intel. Give me my intel.
Let's see here. Just just confirm enemy, like the basically the length of their net. Basically, I want to see if we can get patrol numbers and route. Basically, how many searchlights, how well do they watch the river? Like, how many searchlights do they have on it?
So, are you basically going to send these guys to camp out here for the intervening days? Or, like,
yeah.
What's your report timer back on this? Do you want them to wait for you to show up, or do you want them to, like, watch a couple days, fly all the way back, and then report you?
Yeah. 2 days of intel gathering and come back.
Okay. All right. Well, it's because there's a time limit on this. He goes to leave immediately.
Mm-hmm.
They pack up. They probably do. You don't need a lot for this, so they'll do a minimal mission. They'll send just a fire team of 4 guys.
Yeah.
They'll kip up, get some rations. Make sure everybody's got their mess kit, got their supplies. No fires. They'll just eat. They'll eat survival rations and drink water in the woods. All right. So basically, I figure if you have no more questions for the Major, we'll go ahead and basically break. You're dismissed from the briefing. You go to your office and start orders. Okay. So in 2 days, those guys will be back. You hope.
All right, so let's make sure I get 8 satchel charges, because I said we're doing 2 squads. I said 1 squad will be with me, 2nd squad will probably be, probably actually the recovery support, because they probably have a guy trained in demolition. Wait, do we have anyone trained in demolitions?
No, those would be your guys. You guys don't have any training in demolitions, I don't think. So do you want to take 3 fire teams of 4 guys, and you're supervising, and you have 2 demo teams?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. You have enough soldiers for that, because a couple of your guys in the flying rifles know a few things about bombs. And yes, as noted, your recovery and salvage team is technically your technical squad, so they are trained in how to do EOD, which also means they know how to set mines and bombs and stuff. Some of them know technical stuff. Like, theoretically, the satchel charge is the default plan. If you want to do something weirder, like I said, like, if you could get physical access to this, you could, like, steal their spark plugs or whatever. That's just not as permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah. You may also need to do some cleanup after you set up the charges, because they might not... It's not a guarantee that they do enough damage to disable one in one hit.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily, if the way you're set up, assuming you guys have, 1 kilogram left to each carry a charge, you'll have 4 spares.
Yeah.
Because, let's see, the satchel charge is 2d10 plus 5, I think?
Yeah, but did you say they're damned?
They're doubled, yeah. So I'm saying, like, they're 2d10 plus 5 to default, and then you're putting them right on there, so they're doubled. So that'll be 4d10 plus 10. So it's likely that they'll work. And if you put them at, like, the bottom or the top, they'll penetrate. They will completely ignore any armor.
All right. So yeah, we're gonna have to go underwater. I'm gonna start streaming for some breathers.
Okay. Do you want to roll squad logistics, or do you want me to make the roll?
This ain't a social roll; it's just a flat roll, ain't it?
Yep. Versus your 36.
Yeah, just roll it. Yeah, there's nothing we can do to boost it, is there?
Do you have any money left?
Got money.
Okay, let me double check this rule.
Can I use luck?
Well, let me read the whole section again. Okay. Acquire mission equipment or additional equipment. Bonus how critical it is. That's no problem. In addition to any modifiers which apply normally... in addition to all modifiers which would normally apply to a procurement test. So, technically, you're looking for rebreathers, which are, rare? So, let's see. Let me read my own document outline. Loaded in procurement. There you go. So, rare is normally a minus 10, but, let's see. This is a strategic objective, so I will give you a plus 20. So, you're at plus 10 overall. And there's 2 ways to modify this. You cannot spend luck. You can overspend by reducing your logistics roll after the roll. So you could say, spend 1 logistics and you would get plus 1. Spend 5, you get plus 5, etc. After the roll, but after the roll is done, you're reduced by that amount. The other thing is personal investment. For every 10 MC you spend, you can get plus 5 on your logistics for 1 roll. So, how much money do you have? And how much you want to put in on this?
Alright, so how much is it per 5?
10.
So it's 10. Recent fucking palms here. Scroll down to my empty. I have 142 left.
Christ.
Let's drop 20.
Alright, so that's plus 10, so you're at 56, because this is a strategic objective. There should be a bonus.
Okay. Let's see here. You said all modifiers that can affect the procurement test, right?
Yes,
here.
so if you have anything that says procurement.
I think I do. Son of a bitch. And I guess we should I guess we can burn some of our logistics score, I guess. What's the over-under on that?
It's 1-to-1.
Fuck. Let's burn, what's our logistics score is what right
36.
Now? 36. We're at a total of 56. Let's burn 4. Bring it up to 60.
Okay. So you're rolling on a 60% chance, and you're down to 32 logistics. And that is a 22. Your squad gets its rebreathers.
Oh, thank God.
Now, keep in mind, those are 17 kilograms, and they go on your facial region, so watch out for that.
Mm-hmm.
They do reduce your awareness because you're wearing a fucking mask. And once you start the process, you have 3 hours, because the as far as I understand it, the scrubber system doesn't necessarily stop. It's a chemical reaction.
Yeah, so we're not going to engage. We're not going to start them, but, make sure everyone teaches how to use them. And let's see here. What else helps with water? You mentioned earlier, motherfucking swim fin. Let's see here. Swim fins. They're uncommon, and then ski, athletics and swims, and double speed by swimming, half base on land. Let's make a logistics. See if we can.
All right.
As well.
So here's kind of a weird question, but are you you're in charge of this operation, so are you designating this as mission critical equipment? Because technically you only have one optional role per mission with logistics. So are you declaring that this is essential equipment? Basically. Because it may turn out later that somebody asks some questions if this goes horribly wrong, like, why did you elect that swim fins were essential equipment? You follow me? So, yeah, do you want to declare that this is essential, or is this quote-unquote optional?
I mean, doubling our fucking swim speed, I think, is pretty key to getting in and out, so yes.
Alright. Alright, well, it doesn't matter because you rolled a 25, because I was about to say, do you want to boost this any? But I think they're common, so that's like plus 10.
They're uncommon.
Oh, they're uncommon, so it'll be plus 0. You still got it. 25 out of 32. Everybody has swim fins. Do remember, that means you're going to have to take your mobility units off.
Yep. I think we use our mobility units under fucking water.
True. Because you have flying units. They're not submersible.
No.
Before I found out about the rebreather, I was going to offer you the opportunity to temporarily become submages, basically, but the rebreather thing works out way better, because shallow water diving.
Honestly, we're probably not going to be able to take our fucking air units at all. Well, actually... Well, I mean, I said everyone's trained in a fucking parachute, so we can just be parachuted without our fucking...
Yeah. You can basically do kind of what you did in the fort mission. You can request a plane fly over, you jump out.
We parachute down.
Radar is technically a thing that exists, but I believe it's not a very mature technology yet. So
I'm pretty sure it's not in fucking Africa yet.
Yeah, they probably did not build a radar team down here, so...
No.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about enemy, like, full-blown radar detection.
Yeah, no. We just can't fly overhead directly.
Yeah, I mean, you can fly pretty high in a cargo plane, it would be kind of obvious.
Yeah, no. As I said, we're gonna have to get dropped off somewhere, maybe a couple cliffs.
Yeah.
To the side, go through cover, approach the river, equip our wet gear, get in the water, swim upstream, charges, blow charges, continue underwater, swim upstream to the forts, and, check out there. Seems pretty simple.
I should probably figure out how far that is then, because, now, obviously this is no problem for flying, but...
Yeah.
On foot, or by... It's like 100 kilometers as the crow flies, so by river, that's probably a long swim.
That is probably a long swim. Fuck.
You can surface though, at least by then. Shit. What is the average speed of a person swimming? I should probably count it as walking. So, and you double your speed because of swim fins. But what's my movement outside of structured time rule? Is it agility? Movement outside of structured time. Normally, while on foot, soldiers have an approximate walking speed of 1 kph per agility mod. So you're looking at 2 kilometers an hour times your agility mod swimming in those fins.
Yeah, no. Shit, can we pick up north?
Yeah, you might be able to, because by the time the 3 days pass, the land unit will be back.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have land support. You also have the whole rest of your squadron. You've got half a company's worth of guys. One of whom is your rescue and recovery unit. You could just have an airlift team ready to go outside of enemy lines.
Yeah, if we put them fucking north of the river, basically on standby with our aerial units and standard attack, we can basically hook up with them, slap on our shit, fly off.
Yeah. At which point, rallying back at the fort is like a 10-minute trip. What's your speed, buddy? I think we figured this out. You could fly there directly in like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
If you were at full burn.
All right, so.
Oh, Martha's typing.
I gotta pull up a notepad because I actually gotta write some of these fucking thoughts down.
Yep.
All right, so let's see here for shock and awe. I can basically tell the air rifles.
Yeah, they get bomb racks for free. You can tell them to make a pass on the camp.
Make a pass on the can. One, I said I think that might qualify for the shock and awe, and two, since they're keeping supplies over there, that also might work for delaying fucking a process on the boats.
Mm-hmm. And they have
Not
fuel there,
mentioned.
which will explode very nicely.
Yeah, so, spawning pass on the content. I said this is also what helps us off the public area, so we won't have to worry about stray those hitting civilian things. We're gonna have to set up a recovery team equipped with our usual gear north of the river once we get clear of the area, and not enemy lines because I don't want them just sitting there waiting for us when shit's going down. Upstream.
So basically, if you pull out your TAC map,
Yeah.
You see that while the river area is heavily forested and wooded or converted into farmland, you go just maybe I don't know, I want to say maybe like a dozen clicks or less north of you, you're in the mountains. They're dry ass mountains, and depending on when you execute this mission, like I said, while your timetable is that you will arrive by day, you may want to camp out somewhere for a while until it becomes dark. I don't know if you want to sneak this shit in the middle of the day. So it'll be the middle of a desert night, and you're going to be soaking wet. So, I don't know how much. Do you guys have thermal blankets? You might want to buy some.
Well, we might want to set that up. We might want to set that up with the recovery team then. Something to
That's
dry
true.
off.
They probably have thermal blankets already. They're rescue and recovery.
Okay, as long as we stay. Let's see here. As long as we stay to the river, and we don't stay too long in the river, hypothermia should not set in.
No, because here's the thing. It'll probably be more down by the river. It's a valley, so it's lower pressure. It's probably going to be more humid there.
Yeah.
The concern about the mountains thing is you're going to go up into some desert mountains in the middle of the night. It's going to be cold.
Yeah. Like I said, we meet the recovery team. We'll have thermal blankets, and we'll have our fucking flap suits and whatever.
Yeah. And like I said, you would be looking at the TAC map. So I'm looking at the real life sat map by Google of this area. Like I said, you throw a rock from that river, you're just rocks in the desert. There's fucking nothing here. Like there aren't even roads in some of these areas. So if you don't mind a little bit of a hike, you will immediately be able to go in the middle of dogfuck nowhere. And because you guys can fly, that's not a problem.
So with mobile units, thermal blankets.
Yeah, actually, so probably the way you'll do this is because a plane can hold a fuck ton of people. Is you'll probably bring the whole recovery platoon in the plane. That's 25 guys. Most of them will stay up in the foothills and be like, hold position on your landing site, secure the LZ, be ready with medical supplies, hot coffee, everything, and watch your gear. Your 2 squads of guys will hike south. And you're going to want to land on the north face because looking at the maps, you'd know this. Almost all the cities in this area are on the south side of the river. So it's just isolated farms and vineyards on the north side for the most part. So you're going to land in the middle of nowhere. You'll hike probably. Might be a little warm, but you'll have elevation on your side. You'll hike through the day, or maybe you'll wait until the afternoon or whatever. By dark, you'll get down into the woods and those vineyards. Like I said, you'll worm your way into the water. You'll bomb the targets. Do you want to take anything special to prep for potentially dealing with sentries? Because ideally, you're going to be underwater and be out of sight, out of mind. But you are going to have to cross land a couple times.
I technically can get a commando rifle. I just have to swap out. Is that how the loadouts work? When it says suppressed pistol or commando rifle, does that mean I can switch them out?
No, that's you. When you get that kit, you pick one.
Oh, okay. Damn. Okay, so no, I only have the suppressed pistol.
And you guys have your steely knives.
I have my steely knives. Let's see.
I love that I don't even plan these until after you guys spend your XP.
Well, that's probably the best way.
I have literally no idea what you're prepped for, so.
Well, honestly, if we stay to the water and we're underwater most of the time, they probably won't see us.
Also, this is because I watched that Mythbusters episode after I made this game. Water gives you a shitload of cover, DR.
Yeah.
It's like a meter or more of water is 8 DR of cover.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention when it's dark, that's kind of hard to see. Oh man, that's another thing we have to think about. How the fuck are we going to see underwater? Actually, if we just hug the banks.
Flares are waterproofed. That would obviously be a bit of a giveaway, but if you need an emergency, you could pop flares.
Yeah, so everyone's gonna equip flares for just in cases. Flares for everybody. Oh yeah, take them. And here.
The rebreather has it's a full face mask seal, so it'll keep water out of your eyes. It's just gonna be dark. So worst comes to worst, you can counter with night vision.
Well, fuck, I can cast fucking night vision on the fucking rebreather, I guess.
You do have some prep time.
That's prep time, but I don't know how everyone else is gonna fucking deal with it.
What you're probably going to do is, because you have some time to kill on land, is you're probably going to get out your demo charges and prep first.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. Once we get on target, we'll be able to basically estimate how far we need to swim, how long.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing you could do. It's all all right, if I swim for so many minutes or so many seconds, I should be.
Yeah, you can swim by feel.
Feel.
Luckily, none of you has hydrophobia.
I know. But so we're gonna do that.
And obviously, I will reiterate, even though I think you're planning around that. But theoretically, should you ever need to make a fast escape, these boats are supposed to be fueled, and they are regular ass river boats lying around. Mm-hmm. You could just steal and go home. If you need to make a quick escape,
that's plan Fubar.
It's plan F for fucked.
Yep, plan F. As I said here, I am not gonna be at my armor. That just seems dumb.
Yeah, technically you ignore athletics penalties, but you'd still be fucking heavy.
No, I'm not gonna. Yeah, no, that's just dumb.
Also, it's masterwork. You're gonna get it all wet. You're gonna get rusty unless you clean it right away. This is natural water. This isn't filtered or nothing.
Yeah, no, this is a.
Luckily, you do know this without needing to roll anything. There's no large predators in this river. There used to be hippopotami, but they've been extinct for 100 years in this river.
Oh, thank God.
And so the biggest thing here are river fish.
So basically, so actually no. You know what I'm thinking about? Even if as long as we stick basically to the middle of the fucking river, we can probably pop up to get eyes on target. But if we get too close to the bank, we might be able to be spotted by a fucking watch. Not to mention that when we have the faces, we're not going to be able to communicate. We're going to have to plan everything before we actually enter the water.
Oh yeah, that's right. You won't have radios because those work on mobility power.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's too bad neither of you is far enough up the sensory tree to telepathy.
Yeah, not yet.
That's what spells are for.
This is.
I mean, theoretically, if you don't mind wasting some minutes, you could set up a ritual for that. That would probably be best if you wanted to contact your base camp, probably not on the actual mission. You'll probably be communicating via hand signals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
so
Marth dropped out. When did he do that?
Oh no, Marth!
Didn't even notice until right now. He's still online? There he goes. He came back.
Okay, there he is.
Yeah, I'm having technical difficulties.
Alright, buddy, don't worry, we're still in the planning phase.
Yeah. Okay, so swimming and...
Yeah, see, the plan
can be back us out.
This is the plan as I have figured so far, and as I said, you are free to comment as you see fit. Basically, the morning of the operation, we're going to get flown out to an area, basically a bit south and east of the location.
No,
and we're going to parachute in.
North. You want to land north.
North. That's what it was. A bit northeast of the operation, and we're basically going to hike overland through wooded cover until we get to a fairly close precipitation where we can basically set up camp and wait for evening. Once evening hits, basically the air rifles are going to fly out in basically full force and do a bombing run on the army compound. basically, take out their supplies, fuel, and all that crazy stuff. At the same time, we're going to be entering the water equipped with swim fins and rebreathers, swim up river, and we're going to have 2 separate teams of demo teams set up satchel chargers on targets A and B. After detonating them, we have to take a moment to make sure that all are down. Maybe take a moment to finish any of the last ones off, or not. I mean, if we just take out a few of them, honestly, if we can take out a minimum 3/4 of them, I would say that's good fucking enough. Okay. But if there's any less than that, we gotta stay behind and cut them down, maybe with a sword. I don't know. But after that, we will again submerge, make our way up north to a point where the recon team will be waiting with our mobility units and hot cocoa, so we can strap up, dry off, strap up, and fly to the forts, and we'll call it good.
Okay.
Is there anything in there that sounds fucking weird to you?
None of it does.
All right.
Also, here's a very good question for Lucky. Do you have warp steel?
Yes.
Okay. You're a metal bender right now. These are metal boats. Just so you know, as an emergency.
Actually, no, wait. I might not have warp steel. Fuck. Because I keep thinking I'm gonna fucking buy it.
Okay. If you don't, that's too bad. Because, like I said,
I have
theoretically, if you had it, you'd be a metal bender. You could be like, propellers? Fuck you. Clonk.
Well, I have timber, and I have a fucking sword with thunder.
Yeah. Like I said, worst comes to worst, you can polish off the last couple points of integrity by just poking holes in the boat.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to figure out right now is how to maximize our survival while in the fucking water. Because for one, it's gonna be dark, so our visibility is gonna be shot. 2, communication. That's that we're gonna be fucking underwater.
This will be synchronize your watch's major time.
Yeah.
Your watch faces are illuminated, so you'll be able to see the clock tick even underwater. Oh, do remember that also your rebreathers will give you that -10 to awareness while you're wearing them.
Yeah. So, Marth, me and you, we're probably gonna enchant our fucking rebreathers with night vision.
Okay.
As I said, I might have actually, Marth, I might have to put you in charge of us. This is what I think we're gonna do. We're going to enchant night vision on our rebreathers so we can pretty much negate whatever darkness penalties. And I'm going to have you basically be the point man on one of the targets. Basically, they'll follow you, and you'll lead them to targets A or B. I'll lead the other ones there.
Okay.
Basically, once we're there, you can probably do that. I put my hand on your shoulder and swim, and the guy behind me puts a hand on my shoulder, that kind of stuff. If you
leave them up.
Rescue hooks are technically belt mounted, so you could use those to link up, even though you don't have the ability to pull people with them easily, because you're not.
Well, so we don't need to pull people, but as long as we're tethered.
But yeah, if you need to tether up, you do all have rescue hooks.
Okay,
so that will be that.
Question. Can Earthmost go underneath water?
They can. They might get eroded a little. The problem is that, if you'll recall, they glow in the dark a little bit. They're kind of floaty glowy. That might be an issue with your stealth mission.
Yeah, I probably have to leave them behind then.
Well, just leave them with the recovery team. They'll be there when we get to the.
Just leave them with someone who's the Earth Mage in our recovery team.
Yeah,
you can't.
These are my friends. Treat them nice.
Actually, there are actually things for familiars in the advanced spellcraft. You can. I don't know if you have to be within a certain range, but you can see through their eyeballs and stuff.
Right, but I think you can at least say what's possibly going on with them, even though they're much further away. I think that was one of the
created. While the familiar, you can issue nonverbal orders mentally, and they can send back information while it is within meter. Okay, meters equal to your will. So that'll be too far. They'll be a couple clicks away. But hey, that's how you can find your way back. You always know the rough location and direction of your familiars.
Right.
Okay, so
leave his familiars with the base camp as long as As long as Ulrich doesn't die or fall unconscious, he can take you back home.
Ooh.
Right. Oh, I mean, the corpsman has nav and survival.
Like I said, the corpsman's going to be with you because he's
Yes.
your companion. But as I said, we're not going to have to worry too much about navigation once we get there, because basically, I just got said I'll take I'll take target A, you take target B. You'll lead the demo team there. We'll point out the fucking boats. Place satchel charges.
Yeah, so if you look at the map, technically target B is the easier target because those are on the north shore. They're right up against the tree line.
Yeah.
A, you will probably have to cross past enemy territory, hop in the water, and swim across the river.
Yeah. No. Yeah. We'll start at B. Get in the water. A. Swim up north.
Okay.
By the way, in case that, I think I said that earlier, but in case that wasn't clear, this is a north-south oriented map. It's, like I said, I just screen capped Google Earth, so north is up, south is down. Your rally point is west. East is further into enemy territory. Please do not go east.
All right, and I do have Pathfinder.
So
yeah, it's funny. This is you guys don't do these missions, and technically that's not what your unit description is. But you guys are perfectly trained for this, Mr. Pathfinder and Commando.
Yeah,
and Vanguard.
Yeah, Vanguard also. Like, now, other than the fact that you guys are completely useless at demolitions, which means, because I think demo is an advanced skill, you literally cannot roll it.
Yeah.
You guys are perfectly trained for this. And like I said, I hope you guys have a free kilogram so you can all carry a spare satchel charge.
Yeah, no. I got a kilogram.
I was also going to say the alternative to satchel charges would be time bombs, but those aren't as good at blowing up objects.
No.
Yeah, I'm right now just trying to figure out what to leave behind.
Yeah,
I honestly...
Well, your captain will probably say this, but I would say travel light.
Yeah. Unless you have honestly, we're not going to be engaging in combat.
I need to reduce my weight because it's quite a fear. It's currently like 32 grams.
Technically, we're gonna parachute in, and then we're gonna do the fucking parachutes, because Jesus fucking Christ, I'm not packing up a goddamn... Well, actually, no, we'll have time.
Well, yeah, you'll have a whole unit. You've already said you're waiting for dark, so you've got a whole day.
Yeah,
like a whole. Let me actually double check. What time did I see? Yeah, so your estimated time of arrival is morning, so probably like 8 or 900. You've got a whole solid 12-hour period before it gets dark.
Honestly, we can probably leave armor. Honestly.
Well, yeah, I assume your plan if you get caught is not to engage but escape evade.
Escape evade, yeah.
You're gonna run into the hills and try not to get shot.
Also, I do have decoy for this, so that helps.
That is very useful. But make sure you have a good melee weapon. Bring your machete if you want.
I'm bringing my, I think,
And not to mention, as I said, guns aren't going to be super useful because unless they can while wet.
Well, technically, guns can fire underwater, but you take a -20 penalty. Your powder's all self-contained, so you don't have to worry about it flooding. It's just you're gonna have a hard time shooting while you're physically underwater, and you could also damage your weapons.
Yeah, so let's not damage your weapons.
Removing the smoke.
I would say, like I said, if you're gonna worst case scenario this, you probably want to bring your sidearms just in case. Especially considering you do have a suppressed pistol, so you might as well.
Yeah. So I'll bring my suppressed pistol.
I guess the pistol, but I won't use it.
If you wanted to buy a suppressor, now is the time. Squeak that on. Be a real hitman. Neither of you have grappling, so you don't need to bother with garrotes. Otherwise, that would totally be on point for this mission.
Guess I won't bring my won't I? I'm bringing my sword, but I won't bring my shield.
That's fair. What level of armor are you wearing? Are you technically? I don't think you guys own a regular. Mechanically speaking, you can drum up a regular battle dress, but that's not normally in your kit. I don't think.
When were wetsuits invented?
After this, I think there is a diving dress, which is it's waterproof. It's got the weight belt and everything, but it got no armor to your head and stuff.
It was invented in 1952.
Yeah, no. Like I said, you're the best equivalent now is if you wanted to buy a diving dress, but that's a whole thing. They're heavy and a little bit puffy.
Oh, let's see here. A wonderful history of diving suits from 1715 to today. All right, let's go. Let's go out here. 15. Fuck. 1810.
I mean, like, literally, lucky, in case you can't hear me like 5 times I've said it, the diving dress is in the game.
Yeah, I know. I'm just seeing what they look like.
Oh, they're
somebody's
very puffy. So, mechanically, they double as cold water gear while you're in water. They make sure your items are not damaged by water. And they have a weight belt. But unless you pair it with the diving helmet, which you're not gonna because those are expensive and rare also, so you've already picked rebreathers, but you won't have any head armor.
I'm just laughing at the aesthetics of fucking
Frogman power.
I mean, we could go down in our skivvies.
Yeah.
Behold the naked Germans. Oh no.
I mean, you could grease up. You could buy a lot of engine grease that substitutes as night camo.
Yeah,
I do have engine grease.
I don't, but we probably shouldn't grease up anyway.
Do something that in 100 years is going to be considered really racist.
Wait,
listen, audience, they're not blackfacing for jokes. They're literally rubbing black engine grease so you can't see their faces.
They aren't some of our fucking men actually Alkebulan though? Because this is the colonies.
Yeah, no, you have some actual Africans among your men. If you want to leverage their natural night camouflage. A decent number of your recovery guys came from the homeland, but yeah, especially among your scouts, because those are mostly locals, but you have some literal locals among your men.
Let's get some engine grease, we'll black up. I guess we'll swim in our battle dress, just because I guess it gives a little bit of armor. Honestly, it's not going to be any worse than swimming fucking...
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you actually don battle dress, you do technically get a +10 to base movement, or +1 to base movement, and a +10 to active defenses when you do that, because you're light.
Yeah, let's do that. Everyone with battle dress.
Okay. That's 1 armor in every location except the head, which is 0. Except for you, Mr. Ironclad. You're a 2 in all your body parts and a 1 in your head. Don't ask me how that works. You turn the rebreather into armor. I'm fine.
But...
so you get some dark gray uniforms out.
Everyone will engine grease the fuck up. Everyone gets a 2. Put it on your...
Make sure your rebreather doesn't squeak. Yep. Slip on your swim fins. You guys probably look ludicrous. But hey, whatever works. The ideal is not to be seen.
Yeah.
Alright, so I feel like you probably spend the better part of this day, and probably several cups of coffee, on this mission planning, and, filling out procurement orders, throwing them at your Excel, and be like, get me rebreathers, get me swim fins, get me engine grease. Your officers continue to look at you like you're a crazy person, but you assure them that you're perfectly sane.
As I said, hey, I'm having guys fly.
Mm-hmm.
People who aren't flying are fucking... Well, actually, no, we're all flying. Just one of us, let's see, 12 of us just have to go on the ground for a bit.
Yeah. If, like I said, this probably takes you the better part of a day, so if you want to do any enchanting or anything for indefinite, now's your time to make your rolls.
So I'm going to enchant my rebreather with night vision.
Okay, I assume temporarily.
Yeah, temporarily.
Yeah, so that's... Night vision is 100 the complexity.
Shouldn't be a huge deal for you guys. You have companions who can theoretically assist. Also, Marth technically still has his familiars, so... Yeah.
Okay, so...
Which dice do I roll? Which ones are looking low? That's a lot of 10. That's probably...
Alright, you guys roll that stuff. I'll be right back. I'll keep the recording running if you guys want to talk about any plans amongst yourselves. Because if it's just stone cold silence, that'll get edited out.
Stone cold silence, no. So let's roll these dice for enchanting. That is a success. Boom! Night vision rebreathers. Let's see here. Do I want to cast Temper on my fucking sword? Incredibly. Let me write this down real quick.
Oh yeah, I have the void spell right lightning.
What does that do?
I don't want to talk too much. So it's not entirely useful since it's coming since about 4 meters away.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Let's cast. I'm gonna cast Temper on my sword as well. This takes up all my enchantment slots. Got a 37.
Okay, I'm back. Why are we quoting, not Aether Sense, but one of the void spells? Is that Ride the Lightning?
Marth just mentioned that he had it, and it was like, what does it do? And it's like, electronics? Oh. I am also enchanting my sword with Temper, because I don't want to have to try and cast that shit down. I'll de-enchant it later. Free up those slots. And I am, tapped for enchantment slots now.
Alright, you're full up.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm not going to disenchant my armor and shield, even if temporarily.
No, that's a huge pain in the ass.
Yep.
I've used up all my slots, too.
It's that int mod.
That int mod.
I think for the most part, I found a good balance of you need all your stats.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to dump anything. Marth technically has it the best because his charisma is low, but even then, your logistics is horrible to start with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see here, yeah.
Alright, so, yeah, you did Ride the Lightning. That's pretty good. That's within your realm on meters, though.
Yeah, and meters, so it's not going to help too much, and I don't think too many boats at this time are run by electricity.
The question, how long does your Synthroid boost last when it's not enchanted?
A number of rounds equal to DOS.
Number of rounds, yeah, that's not gonna...
Keeping in mind, you guys don't have Ethereum cores. Haha.
Yeah, no.
I don't know why I'm ha-haing. This is your own decision.
Yeah.
Technically, the mission as rolled, you guys could parachute down, you could hike overland in mobility units, you could shout yeehaw, throw sticks of dynamite to the boats and fly away.
Right.
Yeah, but the captain is too thorough for that.
Yeah.
That would be a little bit too ridiculous.
This would also be a really good time if any of you knew how to cast Mermaid's Blessing, but that's 2 spells deep on mobility. Did any of you buy? Did any of you buy Water Walk?
Nope.
No.
That's required for Mermaid's Blessing. So that's 150 XP deep.
Opposed to this, I might do it.
Yeah, if you got to do this again, but that's a half action. That's for a number of minutes, and that gives you a plus 20 to swim and can perform physical actions underwater at no penalty. That doesn't give you extra air. You need the water spell Aqua Lung for that, which takes a while.
Mm.
But Water Walk lets you fucking Naruto walk on water.
Yeah.
And Mermaid's Blessing is I can swim for a long time. Oh, Marth I know you bought Fleet of Foot, so you definitely bought Spider Walk. Cool.
Yeah. That was my base movement.
Yeah, but so I think that might be all the prep we need.
All right. You guys only cast a couple of rituals?
We want to do something unless we want to get a ritual together and do fucking weather control and make it fucking pouring rain.
You'd probably have to do that on site.
Yeah,
because weather control I think is after you stop casting it, nature takes over. I'll double check though.
Let's see here.
Weather control. Weather control as a full action. Change the weather in a local area. This weather does not have to be natural. All normal weather effects apply. This weather lasts a minimum of hours equal to DOS. So yeah, you'd wanna wait until you're on site. Complexity is what? Divided by 50?
Yes, complexity is...
So that'd be complexity 8.
So we need 8 DOS.
Things like that whole...
At 5 minutes a roll. So yeah, you could try it if you really wanted to, but...
How much do we want to prepare for this?
Like I said, if it's I don't know, actually, no, that actually also bite us in the butt because we have the air rifles flying a bombing run. I don't want them to do that in fucking storm.
In the pitch rain? Yeah, probably not. Also, another alternative, if you didn't want to bother with your rebreathers, but not that you have that, is if you guys were literal air mages, you could learn Respirator, which lets you hold your breath for a number of rounds equal to DOS, which doesn't count against your normal breath time.
Well, I'm a
Question, can we use weather control to put in a dense low fog?
Using it as an example, let me check what the weather chart is, but I think fog is on there.
Yeah.
So let me look at the weather.
I think it would be on there. It would be like
Random conditions and shit. Battlefield conditions. Random events. Weather. Clear, cloudy, overcast, windy, light precipitation, limited visibility. Yes. So yeah, that's in my default weather table. So yeah, you could fog this shit up.
I mean, like, we're not gonna really care about fog because we're gonna be under fucking water most of the time.
True.
Yep.
I mean, once again, that's gonna fuck over your bombers because they're literally not gonna be able to see the target.
Yeah.
I gotta think about this.
Yes. Yeah, so pretty much any sort of weather thing we do is going to be detrimental to both sides.
Like, this is, you gotta think about this as a commander. How much do you care, basically? Like, do you want to just file a report that these guys dropped? Are you sending your entire platoon of flying rifles?
Yeah.
Alright, so that's 6 bombs by 24 guys. Like, do you want to just file a report that I dumped 140 bombs on target, and that's all you care about? Or do you actually want to do some damage?
The damage. And High Command does want the shit flashy.
Yeah.
See, if we do 140 fucking bombs... Actually, I wonder if I can time this.
You've all got watches. Like, you can, like I said, you can set synchronized watches. And at this hour, this happens. Yeah, and assuming nothing terrible happens to those guys. They also have compasses built into their wristwatches, so theoretically, mages have been doing air attacks for a little bit of time. You can decently figure out like a grid bombing. The question is just they're not going to be able to do any damage reports, whatever you call it. There's a fancier military name for it, but like they won't be able to do like an assessment of how good they did because they can't see shit. It's like they look at the map and the map says the target is here. We drop bombs on the map coordinates. We hope it worked. I mean, like,
honestly, I think I'm okay with that.
All right, because they'll like I said, there's like fuel supplies in there, so if they get good effect on target, they'll be able to like tell by secondaries. It's just like they're not gonna have a good idea of what they hit. And hopefully, because they'll have to make the rolls for this, hopefully they don't under penalty drastically fuck up and accidentally bomb you. Then you won't be able to say your own units haven't bombed you.
That's the risk I think we'll have to take, but yeah. I was thinking that we could just have them fucking do... if we're doing this all by, like, synchronized watches, if they, like, do their bombing run, and then we immediately pop the weather control...
Well, here's the thing. The weather control is not going to be at exact timing. Remember, ritual magic is, I think, like 5 minutes per roll, and you need 8 degrees of success, so it's incredibly unlikely that you'll be able to get it in 5 minutes.
Well, we start the ritual, like, 20 minutes before... I can even say, like, 10 minutes before the bombing run is supposed to happen.
All right.
So, basically, once 10 minutes passes, hopefully they've made their bombing run by then.
Okay, then you fog up.
And then they're like, what the fuck is happening? We get into the fucking wall, and then we bomb the fucking boats.
All right. That's a little... Yeah.
Again, because this is all, like, synchronized fucking watches.
Yeah. Your timing's gonna need to be crackerjack, but all right.
That's how military operations fucking work.
Yep. And this is why literally everybody has a wristwatch, because otherwise this doesn't work.
No.
Yeah.
Alright, so basically, since, where's my fucking notepad?
Alright, so let me run this as you're explaining this to your officers. So, if we understand this correctly, you and the recovery team, will paradrop north of the target in the middle of nowhere hills or mountains. The recovery team will set up a base camp. Half of them will anyway. You'll take a couple squads of guys who know how to demo and hike overland during the day or afternoon to the river, slip into those woods, and you will wait until a time after dark, at which point, slightly before your flying rifles arrive with a fuck ton of bombs, you will start casting a ritual. The bombers will bomb the enemy camp to the north, hopefully well out of range of you. You will fog up the entire area, for a number of hours,
Mhm.
at least 1 hour, probably more, if you get like excess successes. You will then all slip into the water. Using magic, you will identify the targets. You'll set a satchel charge a guy, and then you don't have to go far because they have a very limited radius. You'll probably, like, I don't know, regroup somewhere, pull the triggers so the bombs go off. You will, in the fog, in the dark of night, do battle damage assessment and conclude if you sunk all the boats. Assuming you have sunk a sufficient number of boats for you to be tactically satisfied, you will crawl back up on shore, hike north around the bombed-out remnants of that enemy camp, and hook back up with the recovery unit who are going to make sure you don't die of hypothermia on a cold desert night. You will put your mobility units back on. You will take a short hop, skip, and a jump flight back to your forward operating base at the fort, where you will presumably, I guess, meet up with the flying rifles. Make sure nobody's pursuing you, nothing bad happens, and then you will go home.
Actually, I could just fucking save this image and draw on it. That's what I'm gonna fucking do.
That's a good one.
So hang on here. Open my editing program.
But yeah, so you did get your ritual casting done. That only took you a couple hours, so I figure you run the plan by everybody.
Open up Sword. Let me my tablet.
Oh shit, he's gonna art.
I'm not gonna art.
Draw on it.
Yeah. Because I'm gonna make sure that everyone is on the same fucking page here.
That's very important.
Right.
Okay, because like as I said, like where we start and where we get in the fucking water, it might be fucking. It's like this is so. Where did I save it? God damn it.
Rip. By the way, we've been going for almost 2 hours. I'm fine to keep going. Do you guys want to do try and get this whole thing done tonight, or do you want to just call this a planning session?
I'm okay with calling this a planning session because, as I said, like honestly, off mics we might actually have to like where did I fucking save this?
I know. I mean, I think I recounted the plan pretty good for the purpose of microphones, as far as I understood it.
Honestly, I'm okay with cutting the mic now, and so I can like.
Well, there's one more thing before you finalize your planning. It's just you put a time limit on it, so I'm waiting for a couple days to pass.
Yeah,
because those guys are going to get back to you. If the thing you're doing right now isn't urgent, we'll go ahead and fast forward 2 days. Or a day.
Oh yeah, no,
day-ish.
It's just like I think we've gotten all the supplies and stuff we need. It's just
right. So you spend most of your first day issuing orders. Your second day you do your actual planning. You get everybody together. At the end of the second day, probably a little after evening mess, the scouts fly back. Well, actually, let's see. How good did they do? Oh, they rolled a 10. They did really great. Because remember, your unit is experienced, so they're really good at skill tests. So yeah, they basically file in, report, hey Captain, we're back.
Okay.
We did what you asked, we flew low, over the target, camped up in the hills for a couple days, observed through our field glasses and rifle scopes. And basically what they report to you is, because you decided you were turning this into a night mission and all that after they left, they don't necessarily they have extra information that you don't need anymore, but basically they monitored through the whole day and night, for, a couple of nights and a couple of days overall.
Okay.
So at night, those watchtowers, they do have the mentioned searchlights. They run them. Normally they point up, but they can point down at the ground if the guys at the checkpoints need to see something on the road and stuff like that. They are manned constantly in like 8-hour shifts. Because the camp is right there, they have very short shift changes, like 10 minutes. Or 5 minutes even on some of them, if it's like the middle of the day. The patrol boats run mostly at night, and in the early morning. They don't run as much in the day because sometimes there's civilian traffic up and down the river areas, or there's like people fishing. But you might have to worry about those guys at night. And the pillboxes are manned also at all times of day. There's a guy in there with a machine gun. So that's, if you're going to be surfacing, those are probably your main concern. They observed everything. They counted that, there's like probably 4 guys at every checkpoint, 2 guys in every watchtower, and 2 guys in every pillbox. And there's 4 guys on every patrol boat, so that's, let me do some math really quick. That's 4, 8, 12, 4 more each boats. There's 2 patrol boats, by the way, so the same as the image. So it's 12, 16, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32. So there's probably 32 sentries for sure at any given time between all these points on the map. During the day, they have, like, guys basically running as gophers. They'll do it covertly so, like, civilians don't notice, or, like, if you weren't standing there constantly watching them, you wouldn't realize what they were doing, but they run fuel down to the boats for storage. They have work crews making sure everything works. They occasionally start up the motors to test them, and they do repairs and stuff. But at night, they're covered over by tarps, so they're, really hard to see. And whenever they're not being worked on, they are also covered during the day. You probably don't have to worry. You're going to do this at night, so you don't have to worry about the crews. But they relate to you that, they send crews in, 5 or 6 guys at a time. Mostly they're technicians, but a couple of guys with rifles as guards. Mm-hmm. At night, it's just, like I said, the patrol boats. They keep the checkpoints up through most of the night, but you're not going to bother with the roads. And it's the watchtowers. They do have guys who, during the day, sometimes hang out on those docks, but at night they go back to the camp or somewhere else, and so you don't have to worry about that a lot. It's mostly just, like I said, the watchtowers and the pillboxes. And those watchtowers are a couple stories tall, so they are above tree height if they have to see that river. And that's about what they report. Do you have any questions for them?
No.
Oh, and the camp itself has, like, a couple of guys on guard duty around the fence just in case. But they're not really extra equipped. They've got, like, storm lanterns and stuff, and just, make sure nobody's, like, hiking down off a footpath or something and accidentally stumbles into their camp or the barbed wire or something. So, if you don't have any, like, in-character questions to ask these guys, we can probably wrap up the mics here, and we'll go ahead and finish this, I don't know, like tomorrow? You guys free tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, we can probably finish this off tomorrow. I got a thing to do in the afternoon, but making videos doesn't take a whole lot of time.
Okay.
All right, well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up the recording here. We might chat verbally or just type it out for the rest of the stuff. And we'll see you guys in the next episode where Operation Blauer Geist will commence. It's you guys. You guys are the blue ghosts.
Okay. So,